Now, the 14-inch gaming laptop category has been a hot segment in the laptop arena here in 2024. We got our look at the Asus ROG Zephyrus G14. We are going to get a look at one of its chief competitors today. It's the HP Omen Transcend 14. This is a brand new laptop here from HP here for 2024 that brings a lot of interesting features to the table. It's got a gorgeous 14-inch OLED display with a resolution of 2880 by 1800. It's got 120 hertz refresh rate. It's got the Intel Core Ultra processor, the Core Ultra 7 155H, paired with the RTX 4060 from NVIDIA. But it's in a sleek form factor in a very light package that you can take on the go. There are a lot of things I absolutely love about it, but there are some things I'm not so crazy about. We're going to get into it here today. Hey everybody, it's Andrew, and this is my review of the HP Omen Transcend 14, all new for 2024. Coming up.
Now, before we get to the unit itself, I just want to let everyone know, in the interest of transparency and full disclosure, I'm not being paid by HP. I'm not being sponsored by HP. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. HP is not getting copy approval. That means they're seeing this video for the first time, just like you. Now, this unit is on loan from HP, and once this review is done, I'll be sending it back. Now, pricing as tested here today, which you can pick up over at Best Buy, comes in at $1699.99. That gets you 16 gigabytes of RAM, the Intel Core Ultra 7 155H, a terabyte of storage, and the RTX 4060. Again, $1,700. Not too bad for a 14-inch gaming laptop. It is cheaper than the Asus ROG Zephyrus G14 we looked at. Now, you could also go up to a Core i9 185H, 32 gigabytes of RAM, and the RTX 4070 with a terabyte of storage. That comes in at $1999.99. And for those interested, I'll leave a link in the description below for more information and where you can buy one. Without further ado, you know the drill, folks. Let's get this out of the box. Go beyond. Omen, it says here. Go beyond. You can see it right there. HyperX, looks like we got the headset here. So we got the Cloud 3 wireless headset here, and I think we've seen this before. It's a really good one, and it comes with the DTX audio. It's got the 2-year warranty, it looks like. It's got up to 120 hours, so it's wireless, ultra clear microphone, gaming grade wireless, angled 53 millimeter driver. So that comes in the box if you're going to get this. We're going to, maybe if we have time, we'll take a look at that. I think we've seen it all before, but let me know if you want me to look at it in depth. And then, of course, we get the unit itself here. It does have a little bit of heft here, but all right, we'll take a look at this. And then we've got here, looks like some documentation here, so let's take a look at this. Yeah, just some typical stuff here. Warranty information, setup guide, booklet here, and so forth. So there you go. This is the 140 watt charger. And yeah, it's 140 watts. You can see it there. It's USB Type-C. That's always good to have. A little bit of heft on that. We'll take a look at the measurement of the weight, and you get your power cord. And of course, we get the unit itself here. This is the black color, the I forgot what they called it, the night black or whatever they're calling it. Let's see here. This is what it looks like. So in kilograms, just the unit alone, I'm measuring 1.652 kilograms, and that would be 3 pounds, 10.2 ounces. Okay, with the power cord and the power charger, 4 pounds, 11.9 ounces. And that would be 2.153 kilograms. So pretty portable gaming powerhouse here. Looks pretty good in terms of the weight. All right, let's talk about the port selection. On the left side is a USB Type-C Thunderbolt 4 port that is full function, supporting data, charge, and display out. Next to that is a 3.5 millimeter microphone headphone combo jack. On the right side are 2 USB Type-A ports. I always like to see legacy ports, as you know. And on the back is a USB Type-C 3.2 Gen 2 port that also supports charge, data, and display out. And next to that is an HDMI 2.1 to round out the ports. Now, one thing thing I will point out, there is an issue, at least with my review unit, but I think that other reviewers are experiencing this as well, that I wasn't able to use third-party chargers or other USB-C chargers that I have lying around my studio to charge this laptop. You have to use the included power charger, which is that 140-watt power charger that I showed in the live unboxing and so forth. So that is just something that is a little concerning here. I'm not sure if a firmware or BIOS update or something can update this to allow for the charge. I know it's supposed to charge according to HP, so we're looking into that. As soon as I get any information, I'll pass that along to you and I will report my findings.
Now, as far as the Omen Transcend 14, I noticed a little bit of give on the chassis or in the chassis or on this lid here. It's pretty noticeable. It's more noticeable than on the Asus ROG Zephyrus G14. Look at that. You can see it there. Let's see about the screen flex. Little bit. Nothing to write home about as far as concerning, although I do notice this screen wobble. I'm not a big fan of that. Now, the keyboard deck itself, a little bit of give in the keyboard deck. Again, nothing that will really affect you too much, but the build could be a smidge better than I would see here. And I think the G14 from Asus is a little bit nicer, a little bit more refined. Now here's the G14 and here's the Omen. You can see more flex or more give in this chassis than on this one. You see a little bit on this one. You see a lot more on this one. Not terrible, but again, I would expect this to be a little bit more high-end from HP. This is really, really rock solid here.
Now, I actually like the keyboard a lot on this, more than I expected. When I first saw this, well, it looked a little bit different than we normally see on a keyboard, but typing out documents, emails, and the like has been pretty comfortable on it. So when you're not gaming, you can definitely get work done on this laptop with this keyboard. So that's good news on that front. It also has the RGB lighting on this and all that stuff. So it was pretty interesting looking as well. What do you think about it? Let me know in the comment section below. But the overall typing experience was actually pretty good on this. Now, the touchpad was definitely responsive. It definitely did all the gestures that you would expect. The two-finger scrolling worked very well, and everything seemed to be pretty responsive overall with this touchpad. Now, HP has a really great maintenance video that I'm going to link to in the description below on how to open up this laptop and to service this laptop. So that is a really nice thing that HP did here, and once again, did an excellent job. And as you can see here, once the lid is off, you can, of course, upgrade the storage on this, which is always welcome. And as far as the reads and writes of the included SSD, certainly fast enough what you need this laptop to do. And of course, having that expandable storage is great, especially when other companies such as Apple and others are soldering it down into the motherboard, not upgradable by the user, forcing you to do their very hefty, overpriced upgrades. Now, you can get this with up to 32 gigabytes of RAM. It's the LP DDR5X RAM running in dual channel mode at 7467 megahertz, so it's faster RAM because it is soldered in. Now, it's not upgradable by the user. There are no SODIMM slots here. Again, 2024 is the year of soldered RAM, of course, so not too surprising here. Now, when it comes to the wireless, the good news is you're getting the modern standard here, the Wi-Fi 7 along with Bluetooth 5.4. That is always welcome to see. Good to see that is more future-proof. And as far as the wireless, the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth, both working flawlessly, no issues with either one. All right, let's talk about the display, and it's a good one. It's a 14-inch 2.8K OLED or OLED display with a resolution of 2880 by 1800. It has edge-to-edge glass on it, a low blue light filter, and can reach as high as 500 nits when you're watching high dynamic range content. Now, this has a variable refresh rate up to 120 hertz, so if you want to have that really smooth, very fluid experience, this certainly gives that to you, and that's especially good when you're doing gaming on this gaming laptop, of course. Now, it has excellent coverage of the color gamut. It's extremely color accurate. It's got the really high contrast, the great black levels, the really good white points and all this. So the overall takeaway is if you're going to be doing content creation in addition to gaming on this, this certainly can get the job done. Lightroom, Photoshop, video editing, DaVinci Resolve, Premiere Pro, this can really work very well for you. Now, as far as the brightness is concerned, they claim 400 nits of standard dynamic range. I actually measured 408 nits, which is above the claimed brightness. But when you're watching HDR, it can go above that, reaching as high as 500 nits of screen brightness. And I didn't notice any unnecessary glare or reflection. So that has been pretty good as far as the coding on it. It was really good in that regard. So if you're going to get work done in addition to gaming, you won't have those distractions on it. And it certainly gets bright enough, especially for indoor use, was not much of an issue here. And for those wondering, this is a non-touch OLED display. No touch option, of course, but that I just wanted to point out. Now, one thing to be aware of with an OLED display, there might be screen burn-in down the road. That might be an issue you have to contend with, although I have not experienced any screen burn-in on any of the laptops of the last few years that have come into the studio, so I'm not really too worried about it. I didn't see a screen door effect. There is no digitizer on this. There's no pen support, obviously. There's no touch on this, so it wasn't an issue for me. And then, of course, those that are sensitive to PWM or screen flickering, you will detect it on the lower levels here, but nothing too serious here, at least as far as I'm concerned. And to me, this is an excellent panel. It's an overall good display, and I'm glad they chose this OLED option here for this 14-inch laptop. So here we have a 1080p camera. It's IR. That means you can log in with face recognition with Windows Hello. And it works okay. I think the video quality is okay for a gaming laptop. What do you think about it? Let me know in the comment section below. Now, this is a Meteor Lake laptop. It does have an NPU. It does have the studio effects or the AI-powered effects. So we have the auto framing. So if I go out of frame, it'll follow you and keep you in frame. Well, it's doing a pretty decent job there. So that's the auto framing. You get the eye contact. And then you have the background blur. You have the standard blur, and then you have the portrait blur. We've seen it on the other Meteor Lake laptops. Having the NPU handle those tasks offloads it from the CPU, the GPU. They don't have to worry about that. The NPU handles that. And there'll be other applications to take advantage of the NPU and the AI effects later on. Hopefully this year we'll see more applications like the Adobe suite of applications that take advantage of it. I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comment section below. What do you think about the video quality? What do you think about the audio quality? Let me know. Okay, let's talk performance, and this is running the Intel Core Ultra 7 155H, aka Meteor Lake, and of course, it has the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4060 in this model with a total graphics power of 65 watts, and it does not have Advanced Optimus, but it does have Dynamic Boost for those wondering. And as far as the single and multi-core performance here, pretty much in line with other Meteor Lake laptops. So one thing you will note in general with Meteor Lake laptops, less single-core performance than prior generations, or last year, I should say. And as far as the multi-core, a little bit better in certain cases, of course, but we're not seeing a huge increase year over year. Now, unplugged, I got a multi-core score of 8447. That is less, of course, than when you plugged in. That's, of course, not too bad, although, again, you're going to get less performance plugged in. Now, Cinebench 2024 GPU test, 8,768. Not quite as good as the 4060 with 105 watts of power on the Legion Slim 5 from last year. When we look at the single-core score on that CPU test, did 104, which is actually pretty good in the Meteor Lake category here. Not quite as good as that Apple MacBook Pro 14 that I have here. Really did well with the M3 Max. And then on the multi-core score here, it did very well, 930, which beat out the Legion Slim 514 from Lenovo, and of course the Slim Yoga Pro 9i, depending on your region from last year. That did okay, but this did much better. Now, as far as the single-core score on the Geekbench, we're looking at 2369, and again, Meteor Lake not doing as well as last year's models and so forth, running a 13th gen processor. And as you can see, multi-core score in that Geekbench 6.2.2 test, 13,238, which is very good, although less than the Slim Pro 9i or the Yoga Pro 9i, and certainly less than the MacBook Pro in both the M3 Max and the M3 Pro. Now, when it comes to video editing, I ran the Puget benchmark, the DaVinci Resolve benchmark here, and it got an overall score of 1447, not quite as good as the ROG Zephyrus G14, but it had very good overall scores. So if you want to do 4K video editing on this, it's certainly doable on this 14-inch gaming laptop. Now, me as a content creator, I like to do video editing, and when I have to attend events, I have to bring something thin and light on the go that packs a punch. And here we have the RTX 4060. And when I try to do a 3-minute video in DaVinci Resolve, scrubbing through the timeline was not an issue. Everything seemed smooth and fluid, no drop frames. It just seemed to work okay. Now, when I did the render of this video, it took 58 seconds, which is very good. Now, just to put that into perspective, the Dell XPS 16 with the RTX 4070 did that in 53 53 seconds. So we're seeing a difference of 5 seconds, which may not seem a lot, but it does add up over time. But I am impressed with this 14-inch gaming laptop to do things such as video editing, especially with an OLED display that is color accurate and has good coverage of the color gamut. So I'm pretty impressed with video editing here on the Omen Transcend 14. And when I changed the codec to H.265 to render that same video, it took 56 seconds, 2 seconds less than rendering it in H.264. Overall, very good for video editing. Now, having a thin and light laptop at the end of the day is great, but since it is a gaming thin and light laptop, it has to be able to play the games, and the RTX 4060 certainly can hold its own, although not the biggest powerhouse here, of course, with that thin and light chassis. It's going to have to temper in terms of the thermals, but overall playable frame rates on some of the more popular titles. You may have to play with a few settings, but the overall takeaway is you can certainly game here and get very good playable frame rates on those games. And good news, when I ran the TimeSpy stress test to see if this will thermal throttle under load, it got a passing score of 98.9%, meaning it detected pretty much no thermal throttling. So that's a good sign here on this laptop in terms of the cooling. And when it comes to the surface temperatures above the keyboard, below the display where the heat dissipates, it never got above, say, 42, 43 degrees Celsius at most. And then, of course, where you place your fingers, not much of an issue in terms of overheating. Stayed relatively cool, actually. And then when we look at the underside, under load, you can see it didn't get overly hot. And I think it has to do with the cooling system. There's perforated holes where the fans are, allowing more airflow in this laptop. And, of course, that's where the heat dissipates. You're going to get hot over there. But again, where you place it on your lap, not much of an issue, especially even when gaming. That's a good thing. Now, when you're doing gaming and doing heavy tasks here under maximum load, say, it will reach as high as 52 decibels in terms of the fan noise. So it is noticeable, but it wasn't a high-pitched noise or anything like that. It wasn't too distracting, so good on that front. Now, when you're in the optimized mode doing everyday tasks, not much of an issue here. Stayed relatively quiet throughout. Now, battery life is not bad for a gaming laptop. Of course, it's not going to be as good as other laptops that are not gaming laptops that are more for productivity and so forth. But for a gaming laptop, it's actually pretty good. 6 hours and 12 minutes on the Modern Office test, which is just a little bit less than we got on the ROG Zephyrus G14 from Asus. It did 6 hours and 24 minutes on the video playback and just a little bit less than an hour on battery. So when talking about gaming. So overall, not too bad, especially with the high-end OLED display here, which certainly uses more power. And again, having slightly less battery, a 71 watt hour battery versus a 73 watt hour on that Asus, really, there wasn't much of a difference here. And overall, pretty decent for a gaming laptop when it comes to battery life. Okay, let's bring it all home. What do I think about the HP Omen Transcend 14 here for 2024? Gorgeous 120 hertz OLED display. That comes standard. That I love. That is a really nice feature to have. Thin and light design overall. It's a universal USB-C charging. You gotta like that. It's got decent battery life for a gaming laptop. There's no doubt about it. It's got a comfortable keyboard with a very interesting backlight, and that is pretty interesting in my book, and I like it. Now, negatives here. RAM is soldered on, but that's not too surprising here in 2024. It does have below average GeForce RTX 4060 performance, the lower TGP than the Asus and the Razer offerings, but I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference, but just something to be aware of. There's no mux switch, G-Sync, or adaptive sync support, so that is a little bit of a negative. The Omen Gaming Hub feels a little convoluted. The CPU AI features are still limited, although we expect to see more as the year rolls out. Screen wobble and flex in the chassis is not the greatest here, although it wasn't bad. It just wasn't as premium as the Asus ROG G14. And the so-so speakers here, I guess I would say they're okay speakers. I wouldn't say they're great. And then their USB-C charging requires specific standard of a charging cable, so you're gonna have to be very specific as to which one you're gonna use. And it doesn't feel as premium as Asus ROG Zephyrus G14, as I mentioned. But I like this as an overall 14-inch gaming laptop, their first foray into this segment, and I think HP did a really good job here in their Omen line to provide a thin and light gaming experience with really good performance overall. Just may not be quite as premium as the Asus ROG Zephyrus G14 that we looked at here for 2024, but it's a good overall offering nonetheless.
So please hit the like button, please subscribe, please share this video. Don't forget to leave a comment in that comment section below. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if there's a device or something out there you think I should review. I'll do my best to try to make that happen. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. Don't forget to check out my website, amdtechreviews.com. So until next time, this is Andrew, and I'll see you in the next video.